This is probably one of the best shows, and I'm so excited to hear our guest today. This is about exploring a subject that seems to be changing almost everything around us, artificial intelligence. Now, most of us have seen AI helping write emails, maybe helping do your kids' homework, answering questions, recommending movies. Sometimes they'll give you instructions on how to put something together if you're assembling something, or even assist doctors in reviewing medical scans. But today, we're looking at a side of artificial intelligence that many people probably have never even considered. And I know before today's show, I didn't think too much about it. Now I'm unbelievable. Imagine that your family experiences a serious medical mistake, a birth injury, a nursing home neglect, or another devastating accident. Suddenly, you are overwhelmed with questions. Where do you begin? What information do you need? Do you even have a legal case? For many families, just figuring out those first steps can feel overwhelming. I would think they'd be overwhelming to most people. Today's guest believes artificial intelligence can help make that process easier, not by replacing attorneys, but by better helping families organize information, better understand their situation, and connect them with experienced legal professionals more efficiently. Joining us today is David Roddenberry, co-founder of I love the name of this company, Mama Bear Law. David has an extraordinary academic and professional background. He graduated summa cum laude from Harvard College with a degree in neuroscience before learning and earning his degree from Harvard Law School. I mean, that's pretty impressive, David. As a Marshall Scholar, he also earned graduate degrees from both London School of Economics and Oxford University. And before co-founding Mama Bear Law, he worked in organizations including consulting groups, Goldman Sachs, Johnson & Johnson. I mean, I could go on. Okay. Well, I'm just so thrilled to have him on this show. It's like really amazing. And I have my paper and pencil out to write notes. Today, he's combining for you that experience with artificial intelligence and advanced analytics to help families navigate some of the most difficult legal situations. David, welcome to Real Talk.
Thanks for having me, Dottie.
So, David, I've talked enough for the whole show. Now we want to hear from you. So, would you give us some background, how you got into this field? Give us, people want to know about you. How did you begin this journey?
Yeah. So when I was about 10 years old, I had an emergency appendectomy surgery, and I woke up in the recovery room with chills. I had an allergic reaction to the anesthesia, and it was really, when you're kind of paralyzed, you can't move, and your body's shaking. It's a really kind of otherworldly experience. And, you hear the doctors talking, but you can't move your body at all. And it was really fascinating for me about, the brain and, cognition. Are you conscious when you're in that moment? And that really led me to study neuroscience in an undergrad. But, I also felt like it was giving me the approach. I mean, that felt like malpractice and something that was, a wrong. And so I went to law school and earned my legal degree. Have worked in startups, started my own wellness company, health and wellness company called Healthy Wage, a very successful company. And a few years ago, with the just explosion of innovation around artificial intelligence, thought the timing was right to kind of return to that and help families, in similar situations where you feel like you've been wronged medically, but you don't know what to do. You don't know who to talk to. You don't know how to navigate the resources, help them, secure justice. And AI is just incredible in terms of its ability to gather data, to analyze data, to synthesize data, and really prepare you as an attorney or, just as a consumer or a wronged individual to understand what happened to you. And that's really been the genesis of Mama Bear Law, and it's going really well. We're helping hundreds of families, navigate the legal system, and very pleased to be here with you today.
Oh, I'm thrilled to have you, and this is not something I just want you to come on once. So let me ask you this. So now, as I listen to you and I hear, okay, you think something might have happened that could have been done better, or like you said, sometimes you're foggy, you're not even sure if you're awake, if you're not awake, you're hearing voices, but you're not fully conscious maybe. And where do you go? I mean, if you think something has been done incorrectly, I wouldn't even know. I don't know where I would start. I'm thinking for all of us here that are listening, where would you go?
Yeah, as a patient, you're entitled to all of your records, and the clinicians are keeping detailed notes. And so, when they come into your room, they're very busy, and they might only give you a very brief, synopsis of what happened to you. But you can get access to all of the information: how much anesthesia was given, when did they give it to you, what happened to you, when did they check up on you, what were your vitals when that happened. All of that data is there. Who
would you ask for that? I mean,
you do a formal request to the medical providers, but it's very tricky because the medical providers are they're not trying to be difficult, but if you say, I want all records related to my hospital visit, on March 15th, they define the word all differently than you might. And so you might not get everything. And you want to either reach out to a firm like Mama Bear Law and have us help you gather those records totally free, as a way to kind of access that information, or you want to use AI yourself. Tell them, I'm concerned that I'm not going to get all of my records. Can you help me draft the appropriate language that will entitle me to all of my information? And they have to provide that to you at very minimal cost.
Well, they might have to. But I have to interrupt you for a second because this is very personal to me. I was an emergency patient. I was not in New York. I was out of the state. I was on business travel. And I got sick, and I ended up in a hospital, and they thought it was breathing. But then a doctor walked in and said, I think you're probably going to need stents. I don't know for sure, but let me try this procedure. Actually, he didn't say stents. He just said, I think there's something that's making you not breathe that's different than what they're thinking. Okay, they're thinking it's asthma, COPD, or something like that. I think there's something else. Would you let me do this procedure? The next thing I knew, and I said, okay. And the next thing I knew, I was in the recovery room, and I had 3 stents put in. So, and then because of those 3 stents, the whole thing was mixed up. And trying to get information from this hospital was like pulling teeth. That's all I can say.
It is. It's awful. It's really awful. And I know our doctors are doing their best and they're overburdened and overworked, but the communication to the patient is just atrocious sometimes. I mean, and you just want to feel better. So of course you're going to consent to them. You're not in a position to get a second opinion, right? I mean, it's just, you're like, the doctor says to do this and you don't feel well. And you're like, well,
right.
I need to feel better, and so, you don't even know what you're consenting to. I know it's just awful. And, and that's really where a company like Mama Bear Law comes in, ensuring.
So when would you call? When would you call Mama? Because I'm so interested in this. You can't even imagine. Was so looking forward to hearing you today. So would you start, like, in retrospect, and I don't want to get into my whole experience, but it was pretty bad. And and it was all an emergency. I didn't plan it. I didn't know where to go. I was in a state where none of my family or friends were around. And you're not exactly in the best position to make all these great decisions, but everything I did was like pulling teeth. Just simple information. I even going back from when I was in the emergency and they took me to an emergency room and they're like, well, your insurance is not paying. I'm like, what are you saying? And they said, well, because you didn't alert them when you were in the emergency room. I said, that you go to the emergency. I said, I was taken as an emergency patient. I couldn't breathe.
It's an emergency.
They had oxygen on me. What was I supposed to say? Take the oxygen off? Here's my cell phone. Let me call you and just tell you I'm coming in? I mean, it was bizarre. So where would you call, your company, when would I call you? Before? Now, if it's an emergency, I might not. Yeah, tell me when.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, the earlier the better. Like you said, though, you're often not in a position. I mean, you're doing what the doctor tells you to do. All of the financial consequences. You just want to make sure that you get the care that you need, and like you said, there's no one that you can talk to. So the earlier the better. If you're in a position where you can call us, it's really cool. We have an AI agent called Mama. And she's available 24/7, and you can just talk to her. And she has access, as an AI, to incredible amounts of information. And so she will ask you probative questions and then escalate, kind of gather your entire situation and then escalate it to an attorney who can help you immediately. So that's a really cool thing. But for most people, they're just not of a mind presence to do that in the moment, right? They're just reacting. They want to get the medical care. And then afterwards, they're dealing with, potentially bizarre bills, or they're dealing with, mistakes, consequences. The doctor, didn't do the appropriate thing, or the doctor, nicked you when they were going in for a stent, or, I mean, all of the, the things that happen are just incredible.
Well, you're so on the money, and I went to the Mayo Clinic after that, and I will not, mention anybody's names, but he basically, in a good way, or I guess in a way where he wasn't really I think there's a doctor's creed, they don't want to get each other in trouble, but he said,
yes.
You would have probably needed stents in 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
That was it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that was saying to me.
Not the emergency situation.
That was saying to me.
Yeah. Exactly.
I interpreted that as, well, you really didn't need them at this moment in time.
Yeah, well, and that's not the care that you signed up for. I mean, you're going in there, you just want your emergency fixed. You're not looking for preventative care that's not planned, where your loved ones aren't around and, your insurance can't get involved. I mean, I know the doctors, again, they're overworked, they're trying to do their best, but they make mistakes too, and they need to be held accountable. And it's naive to think, that just because they're a doctor that they're infallible, or that they should be immune from consequences when they make mistakes, because these are people's lives and their health, and and it's transformative for them. So, I think, and they have insurance too. So it's not like you're going after a doctor personally. You're just making sure that the system works and that, they think twice before they do that extra care in the future for someone else.
So the best, optimally, you're saying to call, if you can, to let you know in the beginning. But let's assume you were like me and this thing already took place. What would I call? How would I call you? Where would I call?
I mean, exactly. So afterwards, you call us, and then we'll help you gather the medical records, right? So we'll get all of the information from you about which provider, the dates, the locations, and then we'll, send you a DocuSign so that you can authorize us to gather that information. We'll gather that information for you. The AI does that. It reaches out to the providers, and, which is a very lengthy and annoying process. I mean, I must say, but they'll get they'll get all of that information for you. They'll analyze that information. So the AI will summarize what it anticipates what a case might be, and or what just summarizes the care that you received. You might not know, and then it will let you know if we're able to help, or if there might be a provider, and sometimes there isn't a case, right? I mean, the
right.
doctors
I was going to ask that. Would it also kind of analyze and say the odds are that you have a case here are not great,
exactly. Exactly.
So that's great.
Well, yeah.
So what is the person, if I'm doing this claim, I want to see if I have a case, So I implore you guys, and then you get an AI to gather all my information, which is a cumbersome task, get it all, kind of analyze it, and then come up with, some type of, synopsis. We're saying, well, we do believe you might have a case here. You don't have a case here. The odds are good that that would be great.
Exactly.
Wow.
And all of that's free. That's all free, right?
That's all free?
Yes. Yeah. Plaintiff's work is all contingency based. So there's, we and our role is to gather the information and, intake you as, as best or as we can. And then what we do, if you do have a case and you want to pursue it, we work with the local counsel. So, we're based in New York and Florida and Minnesota, but let's say your care happened in Texas. Well, we have partners in Texas. So, you're out of state and you don't know anyone in Houston. Well, we have, a local attorney there who focuses on medical. Yeah, exactly. And we really specialize in medical malpractice and nursing home, birth injury. So if those are the areas that are really complex with, tens of thousands of pages of records, really a great fit for AI to analyze and gather. And so we, put that all together and then connect you with that local attorney who works with you along with us. We're with you the entire time, kind of managing or ensuring, that your case gets taken care of.
I am totally blown away by this. I'm going to take a quick break. I'm going to get my pen and write this all down because I certainly am going to utilize your services and I'm going to spread the word because I think this is a service that I didn't even know existed. And to get to the process that we're talking about is half the people never do it. So this is great. We'll be right back. We have a quick commercial break. And we'll be back with David Roddenberry, the co-founder of Mama Bear Law. I'm here with David Roddenberry, who's the co-founder of Mama Bear Law. And this is just such a fascinating subject because, many listeners, some people feel intimidated by calling attorneys. Then they don't know what attorneys to call, where. They don't know if they have a case because just gathering the information for an average person is sometimes very difficult in hospitals. I mean, you can get it, but if you ask me, it can take you a while if you even get it all. And, and David's point is artificial intelligence isn't replacing an attorney. Instead, it has the potential to make the first step toward understanding your legal rights less confusing and more accessible during one of life's most stressful moments. And it also will let you know if you have a case. And this is all, if I'm correct, David, is free. We're correct, this process?
100% free. Yeah, no cost. And then the idea is that you don't know, and so we're not going to burden you with a bill to make that decision or evaluate it. You're going to, let us know what happened, and then we'll investigate. And a great example of where you wouldn't know is like a wrongful death. You have a loved one who dies in the hospital, and the doctor says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, they passed." Well, that's not acceptable, and you don't know what to do about it, and you're stuck. Dealing with all of the consequences of that. And it's a very stressful time, preparing for a funeral and dealing with doctors' mistakes is the last thing on your mind, and so yeah. And
not easy to navigate.
No.
Terribly.
No, I mean, the system's set up, well, even like, opening up an estate, in order to investigate it. The person's gone. So, who's entitled to those records? I mean, it's shocking how difficult it is for you to get clear answers about what happened, after the person is gone. And that's not a great system.
No, and it's frustrating. And I would say, I'm just guessing here, but I would say a fair percentage of people just they start and they don't even bother finishing because it's overwhelming and it's so hard to navigate and it's time consuming and there's a million different people. There's so much red tape. But David, you and your team have developed an AI-powered legal assistant called Mama. I love it. Rather than offering legal advice or replacing attorneys, Mama is designed to help families organize information, understand potential legal concerns, and take those often intimidating first steps toward help. Can you tell us how it works?
Yes. So Mama is our AI assistant, and she does all of our intakes. So when you call us, you're going to talk to Mama, and she's designed to ask every possible question of you to get the information needed to build a case. And you do that at your own time, so you don't have to sit there on the phone, for 45 minutes initially. You can kind of, talk for 15 minutes and then update her. And then she's there as a repository of all of the information that you provided. So, if you have updates along the way, I just went in for medical treatment and the doctor said X, you just call Mama and it gets added to your file. And you're like, if you have questions along the way, hey, what's going on with my case? Where are my records? Mama will tell you. She'll say, well, we've gathered records from ABC, and we're waiting for records for DEF. And so for people who have dealt with attorneys in the past where the attorney's too busy to call them back, Mama's an awesome resource because she's there. She has all of the information, and she updates you whenever you want and gathers, all of the information. And then after you talk to her, she's the one who goes out and gathers the records for you. So she'll call the medical providers that you've told her, were a part of your care, and she will identify the records that you're entitled to, which, you as a consumer or the patient or the loved one wouldn't necessarily know. And so she'll craft that message, get that information, and then she'll analyze that information. So she synthesizes what you've told her along with your records and lets you know what the opportunity is. And she escalates to the attorney for those final decisions. So the attorneys are the ones deciding to take the case or not take the case. The attorneys are the ones representing you in court or in a mediation, reading the room, evaluating. The attorneys are the ones talking to the counsel on the other side. So she's really kind of a resource gathering that information for you.
That's like amazing. That's just such an amazing service. You are going to have to come on again because I have to tell you, this is, I hear a lot of, I interview people all the time. This is something I think that is breaking. I think news, a lot of people don't know about this. And I've just experienced for the last year navigating through the medical system. And I am telling you, I find myself a fairly intelligent person, but it's overwhelming in the hours and the hours and the hours and the hours just to get straight information like are impossible. And so here now, everything is free, okay? I would assume, and I'm just making an assumption, let me know. I'm assuming that as they gather the information, then they kind of put it together and say, well, we've gathered the information. You might have something here. You might have a case here. You might not. And then they would forward it to the attorneys if you would request that. Or they say, we don't find anything that's, would they give you an answer on whether you should pursue it or not? Although that's your call, would they kind of say, well, you might have a potential case here? How would that work?
Yes. So the AI will synthesize it for you and will let you know, yes, there's an opportunity, a case if you'd like to pursue it. And it will also partner you with will let you know which local partner would be the great fit for you. So, if your injury happened in Houston, it would tell you, we work with firm in Houston. If you'd like to pursue it, here's the contact information. And then it'll be a seamless transfer where the AI has synthesized all of the information that has been provided to you and, connect you with that law firm in Houston if you decide to pursue it.
And so that's strictly your call. That's
exactly.
Strictly your call.
And
right.
There's no obligation. Yes. If you want to pursue a case, you pursue a case.
And if you don't want to, you've gathered all this information that hasn't cost you 1 cent.
Exactly. And you have the knowledge about what happened to you.
Yes,
again,
that's even
it's
more
that
important.
communicate exactly. I mean, especially with a lost loved one, right? You just want to know what exactly happened. They went in for a colonoscopy, and then a week later they're gone. How does something like that happen? Is that normal? Is that something where the doctor messed up, or was that their body reacting? I mean, what's the opportunity here? What happened to the person? And so, the AI is really good about gathering all of that information and helping you better understand.
I find that all that is such tedious work. Tedious, but it's that important. Please, that is amazing. Now, many listeners, David, are probably wondering whether they can trust AI with something so personal. What safeguards have you put in place, and where does human oversight remain essential?
Yes. So the AI is totally private. It only has access to your information. So it's kind of a safe space. Think about it as like your therapist. Like, it's not going to tell anyone other than, you. And then that information gets relayed, to the attorneys evaluating your case.
So you don't have to worry.
Yes, exactly. It's not like you're going to ChatGPT and putting in information. It's a private AI network that's been built deliberately for this purpose. So it's your information's not going to get out there. You don't have to use pseudonyms or things like that. I mean, the goal is to really gather the correct information and synthesize it in a way that in a way that is accurate for you.
Wow, that's just so it's not about replacing compassion or human expertise. When thoughtfully designed, it makes complex systems easier to navigate. It helps families feel more informed, and it ensures that when they do speak with an attorney, they're better prepared to have a meaningful conversation. Because even speaking to an attorney, sometimes that communication isn't great, and you don't even know where to begin. You're going on and on and on. The attorney's like, all right, get to the point. Okay, I'm charging you. Okay, so I think this is great. Can AI actually help uncover patterns or warning signs that people might otherwise miss, David? And when should we draw the line between technology and human judgment?
Yes. So, I think the rapid advancement of AI is raising all of these larger existential questions about, what should the AI do and what shouldn't it do? At this stage, I think it's an incredible tool. I mean, if you think about legal research in the 90s, before you used books and you had to, read and go, and read real cases, in a like an old school law library. And then all of that information moved online, and you could just search the information. And that changed, to someone who had been using books for their entire career was a dramatic change and something that, some people resisted. But, I think you'd be hard-pressed today to find an attorney who says, oh, no, you shouldn't use, Westlaw or LexisNexis on the Internet, And so it's that kind of transformation that's happening today where, the AI can just gather so much more information that you would really be remiss not to take advantage of it and to incorporate it into your practice and to make it part of your routine. So I think everyone will. The resistance to that is more akin to, it's a little scary because it's a new technology. But, you also don't want to outsource the judicial system to the AI, right? You don't want that making value judgments, based just on facts. We have juries for a reason, and human input is important in the decision-making and evaluation of real cases. And so, these changes are happening so quickly and really have a tremendous potential in the judicial process, but you can't be afraid of them. You have to kind of embrace the change, and as an attorney, be a part of it, and as a consumer, be aware, that this is happening, and it's certainly at this stage, and in the future will never replace that advocacy that the
Right.
attorney provides for you,
It's-
or the judge or the jury provides.
Yeah, but it's kind of using different talents and putting them all together. We're going to be right back with David Roddenberry, co-founder of Mama Bear Law. This is a fascinating subject. I hope that you're all jotting it down. We'll be right back after a quick commercial break with David Roddenberry and co-founder of Mama Bear Law. Welcome back to Real Talk. I'm Dottie Herman, and we've been talking to such a great guest with David Roddenberry, co-founder of Mama Bear Law, about how artificial intelligence is helping families better navigate serious personal injury and medical malpractice cases. And so far, we've learned that AI can help organize information, simplify the intake process, and make it easier for families to take that important first step. But now let's tackle one of the biggest questions surrounding artificial intelligence. David, can AI actually make the legal system better?
Absolutely. In terms of synthesizing that information, like we've discussed, families don't know where to go. They don't know where to start. They don't even have ability to get that information. And the AI is persistent. The AI is thorough. The AI is comprehensive. So it's going to gather facts in a way that no human possibly could. And so, when you think about video footage, and how many hours and hours and hours of video footage there might be. Well, of course, you need to search the video footage. A human can't sit there and watch every piece
Right.
of it, forever. And so the AI can look for whatever happened. And then, the human can then make the judgment about what happened in the video. The human's the one interpreting it, but the AI is pointing it out. Oh, looks like something happened in this place. And, analogously in the medical records, anyone who's gathered or synthesized their records knows that there can be tens of thousands of pages. More information than you could possibly deal with. And so the AI can go through, and not like a traditional search where you have to know even what you're looking for. The AI will just summarize it for you and point out where you need to go.
Which is something
and so
that... we can't really do. I read this, David. It says, according to legal industry research, modern litigation can involve reviewing tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of pages or documents. Now, no person is going to go through all that.
No, think about a nursing home. You get, every time they check up on you, they make a note, right? And so if you're in a nursing home for 3 years, you're talking about thousands and thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of records to synthesize. And, and so you don't even know what you're looking for, or what would constitute a negligence in a legal context. And so the AI does, and the AI knows, how to kind of look through all of that and pinpoint, what might have gone wrong. And so it's an indispensable tool.
It is. I'm learning so much. It says, one of artificial intelligence's greatest strengths is recognizing patterns across large amounts of information. Unlike people, AI doesn't become tired after reviewing hundreds of pages of records and its places while comparing data, treatments, and documentation, and it quickly organizes. That alone would take you years if you could even get through it.
Exactly. And, traditionally when you approached an attorney with these types of cases, the attorney is just leaning into his or her experience. Oh, yes, that sounds like the blah case that I did before. I'm interested. Right. Or, no, I've had no luck with that before. And the attorney is just making a quick snap judgment. Well, here, the data is gathered. So before the attorney can say, oh, yes, the AI has gathered the information. It's looked through the information. There is a case. Here's the opportunity. And so people who, first of all, didn't know how to get all that information can get it. And then the attorney can make a better decision that, yes, this is something that they want to pursue because the AI has done all of that legwork for them.
I'm just blown away by this. I really, really am. So now let's get back to you for a second. If I'm interested or possibly think I might have something that as your AI looks at it, how do I get in touch with you? Would you give us all that information again?
Yeah, just go to mamabearlaw.com, and we have our phone number there, or we also have an intake form on the site. You're going to fill out a little bit of information about what you think happened to you, and then you're going to get a call from Mama, and Mama's the AI agent, and she's going to fill in the gaps based on what you provided, identify, what medical providers helped you, and, where we need to look for records, and then she will go out and gather that information and synthesize it. So, it's mamabearlaw.com, and the AI agent is Mama, and it's, just an easy way for you to figure out if you do have a case and what happened, to you. And it's really appropriate for people who have a medical mistake, a birth injury, or nursing home type of situation. Those are the cases that Mama is really well suited for. And if you have one of those situations, you should reach out to us at mamabearlaw.com.
Oh, this is so innovative. So you kind of really are in the forefront. I mean, you're in the beginning of all this. I mean, that's just unbelievable. There is a lot of discussions on trustworthy with the AI, and you're saying it's fully doesn't disclose anything about your information. It's not like ChatGPT, like where it's going to keep your information. So you don't have to worry about your information going anyplace, correct?
It's private attorney-client privilege. It's not being shared with a general AI. You don't have to worry about people finding out about your personal health information. It's just between the attorney, the law firm, and you in terms of evaluating if you have a medical case.
Okay, but AI basically supports your legal team. I mean, it's not replacing your legal team. It's working with your legal team to enhance it, and it's not replacing them. And we definitely have a trust factor. So I'm
a licensed attorney, and our team is licensed attorneys. So we built the technology to gather the information, but it's the licensed attorneys who are the ones evaluating and advocating for your case.
So when we look ahead to the future, artificial intelligence in the legal profession, and leave listeners with, we're giving you practical advice about what to do if they ever find yourself, or you find yourself facing a serious injury, medical malpractice, or some concerned nursing home issues. I really am blown away by this. We've had a fascinating conversation today about how artificial intelligence is beginning to change the legal profession, not by replacing attorneys, but by helping families access information, organize records, and better understand their options during some of life's most difficult moments. And with any new technology, there are exciting opportunities, but also important responsibilities. The key will be finding the right balance between innovation and the human judgment that remains essential. But you will be actually working with an attorney if you go further. And it's free while you investigate it if it's for you or not, which is even better. So, growing number of law firms and the hospital finance are using this. So, when we look ahead to the future of artificial intelligence, the legal profession, and we have to leave you with, this is really, I would say you're on the cutting edge, David, all right? Would you give our listeners like the last minute of what your advice would be to them?
Get the information. So if you think you've been wronged, don't let the system intimidate you where it feels too hard to find out if there was a case. Mama Bear Law is where we help folks in all 50 states, certainly in the tri-state area. Reach out to us, mamabearlaw.com, and talk to Mama, our AI agent, and get the records. And then you can decide if this is something, where a mistake was made and you'd like to pursue it. But don't just sit there and let the institutions and the systems that have been created deter you from finding out if a mistake has been made.
Thank you, David. You've been tremendous. I promise me you'll come back on again.